It would call me right when I... Heck is that calling me? Welcome to video podcast number 78. Matter of fact, let me unplug my landline phone. People always want to call me when I start doing my videos. Let me get this out the way. Bye. Oh, see, there goes that funny lighting. And see, that's why I don't like my home office, man. The lighting. Bye. Narino Peach. To those in the United States, happy Martin Luther King Day. One of the greatest, if not arguably the greatest civil rights activist we ever had. I actually wasn't going to do a video today because of the holiday. I was going to do my video tomorrow, but I said, what the heck. You'll notice in the comment section, I got a new article, as I usually do on Mondays. I have a new article on the Negro Manosphere. You can always leave feedback about the videos you watch in my comment section below. And also I have relevant and important links related to my career as a dating coach in the description section. Now, you know, my last video, paying attention, as you can see, to notifications. I got some feedback, a lot of it good feedback, a lot of it very positive feedback. But of course, you know, you got to have some people. I got to turn this phone off. This is going to drive me crazy. Excuse me. Feedback on my last video, where I addressed 3 different dating coaches. Where I had either rebuttals and responses for things they said and or just philosophical disagreements with things they said. And somebody asked me, I'll address one item of feedback I got in relation to each dating coach I addressed. As far as the first dating coach I addressed, I'm not going to say his name. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. I might as well say his name, but I'm not. I just have a thing, man. I don't like to say people's name unnecessarily. But the young brother who's in his mid-30s, who fancies himself as the top up and coming dating coach on YouTube, or at least the top up and coming black male dating coach. One of the number of feedbacks I got in relation to my comments to him was, evidently, this dating coach actually encourages men to get women in bed by any means necessary. If that's what he teaches and coaches, more power to him. But I don't roll like that, and I've said that from day one. That's why one of my articles I wrote on Negro Manosphere, which I'll probably post below it for the dozenth time, is an article I wrote called "There Are Ethics to Getting Laid." And I told this story at least once already on YouTube and probably about 4 or 5 times on Blog Talk Radio. But I remember I was in Las Vegas in 2012. And there was this guy. He was a videographer. Or a photographer, one of the two. And him and some of the other guys, we were at this real big table. This like large table. And when I say large, it's like, picture a real, like the type of table you see in a hotel conference room. That's just real large, look like it can seat, like the type of tables you have like in the White House. How they have those big long tables where you can have like at least 12 to 15 people at the table, if not 20 people at the table. That's the type of table this was. This table probably at minimum could have fit about 10 people. 4 on each side and then 1 each on each the ends. But anyway, this guy says, Alan, I read your book, Mo 1. I like it, but I have one criticism. I said, okay, what's that criticism? He said, man, the problem with you, man, it seems like you're trying to implement ethics into the idea of getting laid. You're trying to implement ethics. He said there's no such thing as ethics when it comes to getting laid. And him and like 3 or 4 other guys, they just started laughing. They were kind of half laughing with him and half laughing at me. And he said, yeah, man, you can't be ethical when it comes to getting laid. He went on to say in so many words, man, when it comes to getting laid, you got to do whatever it takes. You got to do whatever it takes to get laid. If that involves lying, just blatantly lying to women, toying with their emotions, manipulating them, misleading them, he was basically like, that's what you got to do. Whatever it takes to get laid, that's what you got to do. And I said, really? So it's whatever it takes. The end justifies the means. He said, yeah, basically. And so you understand in life, man, there's 2 types of people. And one of those 2 types of people are people who have what I call a by any means necessary attitude. By any means necessary. That means throw morals out the window, ethics out the window, proper ways of doing things out the window. If you got to shoot somebody to improve your business, you do it. If you got to betray one of your family members to make more money, you do it. By any means necessary. The end justifies the means. Are you that type of person? If you're listening to me right now, ask yourself, are you that type of person? By any means necessary. Would you stab your own brother in the back to gain an edge up in life? Would you rob a bank if it meant you becoming rich for the rest of your life? Are you the end justifies the means type of person? So going back to this dude in Vegas, him and his boys are laughing. He's like, yeah, man, ain't no ethics to getting laid. Fuck, if I gotta lie to a bitch, I'll lie to her in a second. And again, I'm bringing this up because I heard this first dating coach I addressed in my last video, he encourages men to lie to women. That if you're looking for short-term monogamous sex, you lie to women and give them the misleading impression that you're looking for long-term monogamous sex. So that's what this guy said. So here was my response. I said, so ethics ain't got nothing to do with getting laid. He said, nothing. I said, nothing? He said, nothing. He went like absolutely nothing. Ethics ain't got nothing to do with getting laid. I said, really? He said, yeah, really. I said, I just looked at him for a few seconds. We exchanged kind of a glare, you could say. I said, okay. I said, well, check this out, man. We were in Las Vegas. I said, let's go out, man. Hit the town, man, and find us 2 attractive, sexy 14-year-old girls and then just fuck the shit out of them. Run a train on them. He said, what? That sounds crazy, man. He said, 14? I said, yeah, 14. Long as they got a nice body, cute face, man, let's fuck the shit out of them. Take turns fucking them. He said, man, you crazy. That's statutory rape. You can't fuck a 14-year-old girl. I said, what, you got some age-related ethics related to getting some pussy? Huh? You got some age-related ethics? And he gave me a look. He caught my meaning. He was like, oh, okay. Score one for you, Alan Roger Currie. So I said, you know what? Maybe that was too extreme. Talking about fucking 14-year-old girl. Let's find two women that are 21 years of age. But here's the thing. While you're talking to them, while you got them engrossed in conversation, behind their back, I'll slip some ecstasy pills in their drink or in their food so that we could have our way with them later on in the night. He said, what? That's crazy, man. I ain't putting no date rape drug in no woman's drink or food. Are you nuts? You can go to jail for that. You can go to prison for that. I said, what? You got some kind of ethics related to drugs, women, and sex? Huh? You got some kind of ethics? And once again, he gave me that look like, okay. Here's what was funny. All his boys that were kind of his like male cheerleaders initially, one by one, they started getting up from the table and walking away. Because I made him look full of shit. I crushed his ass. Here he was, the main one, emphatically, O'Shea Duke Jackson's favorite word, emphatically saying that ethics ain't got nothing to do with getting laid. But yet, when I brought up fucking underage women, all of a sudden he was ethical. When I brought up the idea of putting date rape drugs in women's drinks or food to get them in bed, all of a sudden he was ethical. So the bottom line was, this motherfucker did have ethics. He didn't have the exact same ethics as me, but he had his own unique set of ethics. He wasn't a totally unethical motherfucker. Now, there are some guys in society who are. They'll rape a bitch if they have to. They'll get a woman sloppy drunk and fuck them if they have to. They'll put date rape drugs in a woman's food or drinks if they have to. So there are some men in society that don't have any ethics. They don't give a fuck. I'm not one of those motherfuckers. And I've said that from day one. So all that to say, if this other dating coach promotes lying to women, that's his choice. I ain't going to try to tell him how to run his dating coaching business. All I'm going to say is, I'm not a by any means necessary motherfucker. Matter of fact, one thing I've said a number of times, man, and it's worth repeating, if you read my original Mo 1 book, starting with at least the 1999 version, which was my first ebook version, I've always said, Mo 1 is not solely and specifically about getting laid. So, if that's your misinterpretation of Mo 1, that's on you. That's your fault, not mine. Because I've said from day one, getting laid is not the sole and specific objective of exhibiting Mo 1 behavior. And among other reasons, one of the reasons why it's not is because if Mo 1 was all about getting laid, then that means anytime you don't get laid, you're going to feel disappointed and dejected. You're going to feel like Mo 1 didn't work. And see, I don't want guys feeling that way. Because to me, even when you get rejected, I feel like Mo 1 works. And I've said that before. Mo 1 works even when you get rejected. Mo 1 is primarily about conquering your fear of rejection and your fear of taking action to initiate a conversation with a woman. That's the number one thing Mo 1 is about, more than anything. If I had to rank the number one priority Mo 1 is about conquering your fear of rejection and conquering your fear of taking action to approach a woman and initiate a conversation with her. That's priority number 1 with Mo 1. Priority number 2 with Mo 1 is not giving a fuck about criticisms, insults, and negative reactions, potential criticisms, insults, and negative reactions from women, so that you won't feel hesitant to let women know why you approached them, why you initiated a conversation with them, and why you really, really, really in the long run want to share their company, which is usually sex. Long-term, short-term, monogamous, non-monogamous. Sex. See, here's the thing you got to understand, man. And a number of self-help gurus have pointed this out. There's a difference between a goal and an objective. A lot of people I don't think, are conscious of that. There's a difference between a goal and an objective. What's the difference? An objective is something you want to accomplish or need to accomplish by your own efforts. By your own effort. It doesn't require the assistance or cooperation of other people. It doesn't require favorable circumstances. It's something you can accomplish just with your own time, energy, and efforts. That's an objective. For example, if I said, today my objective is not to eat any foods with a high amount of sugar in it, I have total control over that. If I say, today my objective is to spend 30 to 45 minutes on my elliptical machine, I have total control over that. If I say, my goal today is to complete at least one YouTube video for my listeners, viewers, and followers, I have total control over that. Those are objectives. Those are examples of objectives. A goal, G-O-A-L, goal, that's something that depends in part on the assistance of one or more other people, the cooperation of one or more other people, or at bare minimum, favorable circumstances, what most people call luck. That's a goal. A goal is anything you want to achieve that requires the assistance and or cooperation of one or more people, or at bare minimum, it requires some degree of favorable circumstances. That's a goal. See, here's what you got to understand. Having sex with a woman is a goal. That's not an objective. That's a goal. It's a goal. Meaning that, with the exception of if you rape a woman, or date rape a woman, or something similar, the only way you want to have sex with a woman is if she agrees to have sex with you. A woman has to give you her consent, her cooperation to have sex with you. So why are you concentrating on something that's not within your total control? Getting women in bed is a goal. That is not an objective. I like for my male clients to concentrate on objectives. I like for their goals to be very, very secondary. But the number one thing I like for my male clients to concentrate on is objectives. The things that are totally within their control. Main thing for me would be a man's verbal communication, his manner of verbal expression with women, and his overall demeanor, disposition, and body language. His verbal communication skills and his overall demeanor, disposition, and body language. Those are things that are totally within a man's control. You don't need to depend on women to be confident. You can choose to be confident at any moment in time. I don't need the assistance of a woman to carry myself like a confident motherfucker. I can choose to be a confident motherfucker anytime I want to. I don't need the assistance of a woman to express myself verbally in a manner that's confident, self-assured, seductive, and provocatively straightforward. I have total control over that. I don't need a woman's assistance for that. So, in simple terms, going back to me addressing this first dating coach that I did in my last video, again, one of the things I found out from some of his followers is that he believes in getting women in bed by lying to them, by any means necessary. I don't. That's just a difference, a philosophical difference we have. Because the reality is, man, I've said this a million times, you can get a woman in bed either way. You can get a woman in bed either way. You can get a woman in bed by being honest, and you can get a woman in bed by lying. And it's just a matter of which path you choose. Now, I'll tell you one little story that I found interesting when I did my Blog Talk Radio show. One time I did this Blog Talk Radio show, I interviewed this dating coach named Justin Wayne. He's well known in the New York City metropolitan area. And Justin Wayne, he had experienced some controversial incidences in his career that we addressed on my show. I might put the link to the show in the comment section. But here's what was interesting. He had some of his followers, they called into the show, some of his most loyal and enthusiastic followers and supporters. And this one guy, he says, he asked me something interesting. It was interesting at the time he asked me. He said, Alan, sounds like you're a guy who seduced a lot of women and have sex with, you're more than your fair share of women. He said, don't you get depressed though sometimes after you've gotten a lot of pussy? Don't you get depressed when you've had sex with, sorry, notifications. He said, I basically was like, I don't get depressed. What do you mean, do I get depressed? He said, you don't ever get depressed? I said, no, I never get depressed after I have sex with a woman. And I said, I know why. And then I thought about his question. Then I told him on air. It was interesting. I told him. I said, I don't think I told him immediately. I talked with Justin Wayne some more. And then I got back to this guy and I told him, I said, I think I know why you feel depressed. Because this guy said he had slept with something like 500 women in the last 3 to 5 years. I might have the numbers wrong. But I want to say he said he slept with something like 250 to 500 women in like a 3 to 5 year period, which is quite a bit of women. And I said, I know why you feel depressed from having sex with these multiple women. I said, because I don't know you, but based on some of the comments you made, I would almost guarantee you lying to these women to get in their pants. You bullshitting these women to get in their pants. You fucking with their emotions to get in their pants. And your conscience is fucking with you. Your conscience knows that that's wrong. Deep down, subconsciously, you know that the way you're going about getting laid is wrong. And I said, that's your moral center fucking with you, man. And on air, he denied that. On air, he was like, no, that's not it. That's not it. No, it's just that, it's just so many women I approach and blah, 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 blah. So on air, he denied it. But then something interesting happened. I want to say roughly a week later, if not a little more than a week later, he wrote me an email. The same guy wrote me an email. And he admitted that my assessment of him was 100% correct. He wrote me and basically said, and again, I don't have it in front of me, so I'm going to be paraphrasing some of his words, but essentially he said, Alan, you know what? I'm going to reluctantly confess that your assessment of me was right, man. He said, even though I enjoy having sex with dozens and dozens and hundreds of women, he said, days later, weeks later, it'll make me feel bad when I know that the main way I got them in bed was leading these women on to believe that I was going to be their next long-term boyfriend or even possibly their future husband. He said that leaves me feeling depressed knowing that I fucked with their heads like that and toyed with their emotions like that. And he said, so yeah, I'm willing to say, after thinking about it, he said, Alan, you're right. He said, your assessment was right on point. That is the main reason why I feel depressed after having sex with her. And see, that's one of the reasons, man, why I don't endorse lying to women, man, to get them in bed. That's one reason why I don't endorse that shit, man. Because I know that. I know that's what, man, everybody, unless they a psychopath or a sociopath, everybody has what's known as a moral center, man. All of us have a moral center. In other words, the average human being is equipped with just an innate sense of right and wrong. Like, most of the time when you're doing something wrong, you know you're doing something wrong. You might try to deny it at the time, but deep down, you know you're doing something wrong. You know you are. Anytime in my life that I did something wrong, that was just morally, just totally wrong, deep down, I knew at the time I was doing it that what I was doing was wrong. I knew it. Even if I might have denied it at that moment. The only people who really don't have, again, who don't really have a moral center is people who are what's known as psychopaths and sociopaths. That's what makes them psychopaths and sociopaths. A psychopath and a sociopath is a person that really has no moral center. They don't have no moral center. Like, if they do something fucked up, they don't consciously realize that what they're doing is fucked up. They just concentrate on, remember I was talking about goals and objectives? Psychopaths and sociopaths, they just concentrate on what they need to do to achieve a desired goal or objective. That's all they concentrate on. They don't concentrate on shit like, oh, this is potentially wrong, or this is, they don't concern themselves with that. Here's the analogy. This might not be the most accurate one, how I distinguish between the two. I would say a psychopath is more like an animal in the jungle, and a sociopath is more like an insect. What's the difference? Man, my face. You see me touching all my face? In my old place, remember? I haven't touched my face that much in this new place, if you notice, that I did in my old place. But for some reason today, man, it's mainly my nose, man. My nose is like just messing with me. Why do I compare psychopaths to animals? A lot of animals are the type that, I don't want to say this. Well, I guess I should say animals in the jungle. I would more probably. See, I guess, no, I'll take that back. I would compare it more to a psychopath to a domesticated animal. Because a lot of domesticated animals, as long as you're treating them right, you're feeding them well, they'll seem normal, right? They'll seem tame and in control. But the moment you stop feeding them, and the moment you make them feel threatened, what are they going to do? They're going to revert back to that wild animal side. And they're going to protect themselves. And they'll probably lash out at you. Because they don't like to feel threatened. They don't like to feel hungry, and they don't like to feel threatened. So in other words, their bad side or wild side comes out at certain moments. That's what happens with a human being that's a psychopath. Psychopaths are going to always seem normal. They can seem normal for a period of days, weeks, months. But the moment you take away some aspect of their quality of life, or you make them feel threatened, anything goes for them. Sociopath is, I almost compare more to an insect. Insects, man, they don't really, insects are insects, man. They just live to basically eat and breed. Eat and breed, eat and breed. That's all they don't have no feelings of empathy. Insects don't have empathy. Like, animals are known, research has found that most animals have a sense of empathy and sympathy towards others in their species. Most of them, anyway. Insects don't have no empathy and sympathy and shit. I mean, you know, it ain't like they have their version of a Thanksgiving dinner. That ain't insects way. Insects is, they about eating and breeding, man. That's how a human being who's a sociopath is. A sociopath is somebody, man, that they don't have any feelings of real, genuine emotion towards other human beings or empathy or sympathy. Like, most sociopaths very rarely cry. They very rarely cry, and if they do cry, it's usually a performance, like an act. Sociopaths only care about themselves, man. They only care about themselves. That's all they care about, is their own quality of life, their own survival, their own goals and objectives. They don't give a fuck about nobody else. That's a sociopath. So, again, psychopaths, sociopaths, they don't have a moral center. Most normally well-adjusted human beings have a moral center. And, yeah, man, I just ain't into lying to women to get them in bed, man. To me, I always say, man, if you got to lie to a woman, if you got to blatantly lie to a woman to get her in bed, then that ain't a woman you need to be in bed with. Period. That ain't a woman you need to be in bed with. Another thing is, this is another thing that a lot of people don't talk about. Because, you know, there were at least a handful of times in my younger years, probably my teenage years or my early 20s, when I might have lied to a couple women to some degree. But here's the thing, man, and I've had clients say this. When you lie to women, and even if you do successfully get them in bed, you feel like a pussy, man. That's the biggest thing. You feel like a pussy, man. You feel like a verbal coward. And I don't like that. That's a feeling I personally do not like. I don't ever like to feel like a verbal coward / pussy. I just don't. That's a big thing with me, man. I don't like to feel like no verbal coward or a pussy. I like to feel like I'll say any motherfucking thing I want to a woman. Whether she reciprocates my interest to have sex or rejects my interest to have sex. I want to be a man who feels like I can say any motherfucking thing I want to with women. I don't like to feel like no verbal coward or no pussy, man. So anyway. So again, addressing the first dating coach I did in my last video, that's the main feedback I got from his camp. Was that, you know, some guy said, Alan, I like both of you guys, but I know more than a handful of them, they pointed out that as the number one difference between us. They said, Alan, you're all about straightforward honesty with women, whereas he promotes lying to women to get them in bed. And again, I ain't going to tell him he shouldn't be doing that. If that's what he wants to do as a dating coach, that's his choice. I just don't believe in that shit. I don't believe it. I'm not a by any means necessary type motherfucker. Second dating coach. I didn't really get any feedback from his camp. Well, there's one person who knows both of us very well who told me some things. But I know one guy in my comment section, he said something like, Alan, instead of criticizing him, why don't you collaborate with this coach, the second coach I addressed in my last video? I've already collaborated with him before. I mean, I'm going to tell you something, and I've said this on at least 2 or 3 videos. Something about collaborations, man. Number one, I said on one of my first videos I did way back in April or May of 2017, I'm not big on collaborations, man. Particularly long-term collaborations. I'm not big on collaboration. I think a lot of collaborations between dating coaches, in my opinion, are highly overrated. I think they're highly overrated. Here's the only time I think a long-term, ongoing collaboration between 2 dating coaches can work. Plain and simply, it's 2 things. If y'all get different areas of specialties, different areas of emphasis. For example, one dating coach primarily emphasizes ABC, and the other dating coach primarily emphasizes XYZ. then I think a long-term collaboration between those two dating coaches could work because they don't emphasize the same thing. Like a good example, I always use this analogy with physicians. If you notice, how many times have you gone to your family physician and they refer you to a specialist? Like my family physician does that all the time. If I have a certain ailment in a certain area, she'll refer me to a specialist. And so a lot of doctors have that type of reciprocal relationship where, like, okay, I'll give you a recent example. I had some challenges with my kidney, and my main doctor referred me to a woman who was a kidney specialist. That was her specialty, was kidney. So I wouldn't have a problem collaborating with somebody who emphasizes an area that I rarely, if ever, emphasize. But that said, why would I want to collaborate with somebody who essentially teaches a lot of the same shit I'm teaching? That don't even make no sense. And see, speaking of this second dating coach that I addressed in my comments in my last video, see, when we used to collaborate, he didn't put a lot of emphasis on verbal communication skills. That was not his main area of expertise of his. His main emphasis was on teaching guys how to actually fuck with videos and shit. You know, the actual physical movements you should do while you fucking, and how to lick pussy and how to eat booty and all that type of stuff. Oral sex skills, physical sex skills. But see, starting with roughly 2013, this dating coach has began to more and more emphasize the same thing I do, which is verbal communication skills. So why the fuck would I want to collaborate with him for? He's now a competitor of mine. I ain't gonna collaborate with no motherfucker who's a direct competitor of mine. That's stupid business. If you're a businessman, that's stupid business. You ain't gonna see Coca-Cola collaborating with Pepsi. The fuck? Why would they do that? HBO ain't gonna collaborate with Showtime. Come on, man. That's my main emphasis, is verbal communication skills, verbal seduction, and improving your body language and demeanor and recognizing women's body language signs. Any dating coach who emphasizes those same things, why would I want to fucking collaborate with them? And the final thing about collaboration, since somebody brought that up, truthfully, man, I haven't really made no money off of the collaborations I had. Like, there was one guy, probably my most collaboration was, I was going to say his name, but I ain't going to say his name, but most of y'all know who I'm talking about, who I did quite a few conferences with. Yeah, I made some money, but I didn't make nearly as much money as this collaborator said I would make from my collaborations with him. So, you know, yeah, man, if I ain't making, you know, I mean, bottom line, collaborations should ultimately be about this, man. So anyway, that was the one comment that was made about the second dating coach. Somebody said, instead of having beef with this dating coach, why don't you seek to collaborate with him? And again, I've already collaborated with that particular dating coach. And now, because he tries in many ways emphasize the same things I do, I would never collaborate with him because he's a direct competitor of mine. But I'm the king of verbal seduction. Remember that. I'm going to point that out as many times as I need to. I'm the king of verbal seduction. And finally, the other third and final dating coach I addressed, with him, again, the main thing was I had a philosophical disagreement with him emphasizing. Again, with him, I got to watch my words because I don't want to misquote him, because I would be paraphrasing stuff he said. But I'll say it sounded to me like he did one video where it sounded like he was saying that a man's seductive energy is much more important than a man's mouthpiece. And I basically said, I disagree with that. I think they're both equally important. I wouldn't say that the mouthpiece is 10 times more important than a man's seductive energy. That would be an incorrect statement too. I would say they're both important. You can't put one way above the other. You can't put a man's nonverbal seductive energy above a man's mouthpiece, and you can't put a man's mouthpiece way above. When I work with clients, I help them improve on both. Man. And I'm going to use that last point to segue into one of my main things I wanted to talk about on this video. Who was in the news in the last 48 hours or so related to the whole Me Too movement and the similar movement called Time's Up? And that's related to my article, my most recent article on the Negro Manosphere. And this is a comedian I like. His name is, I might mispronounce his name, Aziz Ansari. Aziz Ansari. Aziz Ansari. I don't know, in case you didn't hear, some of y'all might not be paying attention to the news, but he's the latest, you could say, victim of the Me Too movement / Time's Up movement. Supposedly, some woman went on a date with him about a year ago. I want to say it was roughly a year ago. And see, this goes under the category of people asking about the issue of direct versus indirect. More specifically, being verbally direct with women. Excuse me, burp number one. Being verbally direct with women about your sexual desires versus being verbally indirect and that type of thing. Here's what happened, and I'm going to be paraphrasing a lot of stuff from this article. Aziz, this woman was at an award show, one of the awards, like the Emmys, the Golden Globes, one of those. And she had a chance meeting with Aziz Ansari. And they got to talking. I guess they flirted with one another. They exchanged phone numbers. And then later on, he called her and invited her to go on a date with him. She goes on a date with him. And let's divide it in kind of the date into, I would say, at least two parts. Part one of the date, he was like the perfect gentleman. He treated her to lobster at a top restaurant. He was very polite. He was funny. He was very conversational. He was like the ideal date for the first part one of the date. Then he invited her to come to his apartment in the Tribeca area of New York City, which she agreed to. Once he got her into his place, the motherfucker turned into a kinky freak, at least according to her story, her rendition of the story. He totally turned into a kinky freak. He basically was all about the pussy. Once he got into his apartment, he was all about the pussy. He wasn't about trying to be Mr. Nice Guy or just Mr. Entertainer Guy. He was all about trying to get that pussy. Matter of fact, she admits that she sucked his dick twice. Not once, but twice. She sucked his dick twice. She claims that in her story that she told him at different points while they were in his apartment that she was uncomfortable with the idea of having sex with him so quickly on the first date. And she said that he would, for a few moments, seem like he was understanding, like, oh, okay, yeah, I understand that. Yeah, let's take things slow. But then like 10 or 15 minutes later, he'd be trying to get the pussy again. I have criticisms on both ends of this story. I have criticisms on both ends of this story. The male Aziz Ansari, I have criticisms of him. And I have criticisms of the woman who went on a date with him and had this story published anonymously. Well, speaking of anonymous, I'll start with the woman. Here's the first criticism I had. If you're going to come out with some criticisms, some allegations that are potential to taint a person's reputation and potentially ruin that person's career, then you need to use your real fucking name. You need to use your real fucking name. Fuck this anonymous shit. That's bullshit. That's bullshit, man. Bitch, you need to use your fucking real name. If you gonna say some shit this is gonna taint Aziz Ansari's reputation for weeks and months to come, if not years to come. This is gonna taint his shit. This might even potentially ruin his career. If you're willing to do that to somebody, then you need to put your name on it, man. You need to put your name on it, woman. You need to put your name on it. So that's number one criticism against this woman who wrote the story of the day. God, my nose is itching like crazy. The other thing, second criticism I have of the woman, based on what I read in her story, she made it obvious. She says she made it obvious at least 2 or 3 different times during the date, well, at least while they were at his apartment, that she was uncomfortable with the idea of having sex. Why didn't she just say to him, hey, Aziz, I don't want to have sex with you, and if you continue to persist on trying to have sex with me, I would like to leave? How come she didn't say that shit? So if I get women listening to this video right now, watching this video right now, and you're in the same situation as her, why wouldn't you say that? Why wouldn't you say that to a man? Hey, I don't want to have sex with you. Or even make it more specific. I may want to have sex with you in the future, but I do not want to have sex with you tonight. And if you continue to persist on trying to have sex with me, I'm going to call an Uber and leave, which is actually what she ultimately did. She called an Uber and left. But it seemed like it took her 2 blowjobs and a bunch of hours before she came to that decision. To me, I got the impression that the woman, she was attracted to Aziz. I don't think it was a situation where she was just flat out not attracted to him. I think she was attracted to Aziz, but she didn't want to have a one-night stand or a weekend fling with Aziz. She didn't want to be the woman who he fucked and then later on just dumped and forgot about. She wanted to be somebody special in his life. And by doing all that fancy, taking her to a fancy restaurant and treating her to an expensive dinner, he played into that. And y'all wonder why I'm on one. And y'all wonder, see, Mo one doesn't confuse shit, man. Let me tell y'all guys something. Listen to me close. I talked about this on one of my Patreon exclusive videos. When you're dealing with women, don't confuse the boundaries between a casual fuck buddy and a long-term girlfriend. Don't do that shit. Not only simply because it's wrong or unethical, but it's going to fuck shit up for you in the long run. Like it's going to fuck shit up for Aziz Ansari in the long run. It's going to fuck shit up for him, man. I like that dude, man. He's a funny dude, man. But his career, I'm telling you, mark my words, his career, his reputation is about to be tainted. His career is potentially about to be fucked up. It's going to go in a downward spiral because this woman came out with this story. If he wanted to fuck this bitch, he should have told her straight up he just wanted to fuck her. Period. Mo one, baby, make some shit happen. He should have told her straight up, yo, I ain't looking for no relationship with you. I ain't looking to treat you as no special lady in my life. I just want to exchange some orgasms with you over the next few days or maybe the next few weeks. And then let her either reciprocate that or reject it. But no, that's why I have to criticize Aziz, man. He tried to do that mode 2 indirect, verbally indirect shit, man. Like again, on part 1 of the date, he acted like the perfect gentleman. He was making her laugh, making her feel comfortable in his presence. Then when he got to his apartment, man, you know, he just turned into a major horn dog and shit, man. I don't do that shit, man. I don't do nothing close to that shit, dude. The women I fuck, they know I want to fuck them. When I hook up with women to fuck, they know I want to fuck them. They know before I go over to their place or they come over to my place that the number one priority is for us to fuck. Otherwise, they don't come over my place or I don't go over to their place. I don't do the deal where I go over to a woman's place and have my fingers crossed that I'm going to get lucky and get laid. Or that a woman comes over to my place and we do Netflix and chill and I got my fingers crossed hoping that I'll get lucky if I get laid. No. If I know that the number one reason I want to share a woman's company is to fuck her, I tell her that even before she comes over to my place or I go over to her place. I let her know that shit, man. I ain't taking a woman out. Man, if you're only interested in casual sex with a woman, why the fuck you going out on a date with a woman anyway? You shouldn't even be fucking going out on no date with no woman that you just want to have casual sex with. That's a waste of time. And that's a waste of money. You can get to know a woman over the phone. You don't need to go on no date with no woman to get to know no woman. Don't ever give women plausible deniability, man. I remember Dante Nero, who I mentioned a few times before. He was the late, great comedian Patrice O'Neal, one of his best friends before he died. And Dante Nero interviewed me on his show once, and I interviewed him on my show twice on Blog Talk Radio. And one of the things Dante Nero told me, he said, Alan, I love your Mode 1 philosophy, but one thing I don't like about your Mode 1. I said, what's that? He said, you don't give enough room for women to have plausible deniability. And I said, that's by design. He said, man, it's one thing to fuck a hoe, man, but you seem like one of the motherfuckers that will call a woman a hoe before you fuck a woman, man. You can't treat a hoe like a hoe. You can't treat a slut like a slut. I said, why not? That was my response to Dante. And I love Dante. I love Dante to death. But I said, why not? My own cousin, one of my own cousins, we got into a couple of debates about that. I remember one of my own cousins, man, he said that about it. He said, Alan, he said, man, the one problem I have with you, man, and the way you deal with women, man, is you don't do anything to make women feel special. I said, what are you talking about? I said, every girlfriend I've had, I think. He said, no, I ain't talking about your women that were your girlfriend. I'm talking about, like, the women you had sex with casually. I said, that's the whole point of casual sex, is they not special. And I want to call out one of my own cousins, man. But see, my cousin, man, well, I guess I am going to semi-call him out. But see, I got a cousin, man. One of the things he does with his casual sex lovers is he'll do shit similar to what Aziz did. Aziz Ansari. He'll take women out to dinner, take women out to lunch, take them to a museum, take them to an NFL football game. He'll basically go out on dates with women, man, before he has casual sex with them. See, I don't do that shit, man. No, man. I don't want no woman who I look at as just a fuck buddy to think I look at her as a potential long-term girlfriend. I'm not down with that shit, man. That's when you confuse things, you bring unnecessary emotions into shit, and in some cases, that's how you get your tire slashed and your window smashed on your motherfucking car. Believe me, I've been a witness to that shit. Man, I don't lead no woman on like that, dog. The women who are casual sex lovers in my life, they know that I have them designated as a casual sex lover until I decide to upgrade them to a higher level. That's how I roll. That's how Alan Roger Currie rolls, and that's how I've rolled ever since I was probably like 22, 23, 24 years old. I don't believe in stringing a woman along, man. So for all those that say you should give a woman plausible deniability, I say you shut the door on plausible deniability. For those of you ignorant to that term, what does it mean, plausible deniability? Basically, that means you're giving a woman a plausible excuse for why she had sex with you. For example, if I meet a woman and I invite her to my crib and I give her a bunch of glasses of wine and she drinks a bunch of wine and then we end up having casual sex, then if she has what's known as buyer's remorse the next day, you know, she has regrets about having casual sex with me, or let's say she thought it was going to turn into a relationship only to realize I just wanted to fuck her that night, she could easily say, well, the only reason I had sex with Alan Roger Currie was because I had a bunch of wine in my system. If I was totally sober, I wouldn't have had casual sex with Alan Roger Currie. See, that's plausible deniability. Alcohol would be her tool for plausible deniability. Or lying to women. Let's say I meet a woman and I give her the misleading impression that I want to be her next long-term boyfriend, but then I have sex with her over from a Thursday through a Monday, and then I never call her again, and she realizes it was just a weekend fling, then she'll be able to use the fact that I was dishonest and misleading as her tool for plausible deniability. She'll tell her girlfriends, well, the only reason I had sex with Alan Roger Currie was because he gave me the impression that we were headed towards a serious relationship. Now, see, Dante Nero and I know some other guys, they actually endorsed the idea of giving women room for plausible deniability. But if you've thoroughly read my books, I say just the opposite. I want a woman to own the fact that she chose to have sex with me. I don't want women to blame it on the alcohol. I don't want women to blame it on a lie of mine or misleading behavior on my part. I want a woman to only be in a position where she has to say the reason why I had sex with Alan Roger Currie, and particularly casual sex with Alan Roger Currie, is because I chose to. It's because I chose to. He didn't force me. He didn't coerce me. He didn't put drugs in my alcohol or food. He didn't give me too much alcohol. He didn't lead me to believe I was going to be his future wife or next long-term girlfriend. I had sex with Alan Roger Currie because he got my pussy wet and I wanted him to fuck me. That's all I want a woman to be able to say. Period. So no, I say no to plausible deniability. That's why you got the Me Too movement in full throttle now. And all these sexual harassment, sexual misconducts, because guys gave room for plausible deniability. Guys gave room for plausible deniability, and they paying for it. All you verbally indirect motherfuckers, y'all paying for this shit. The Me Too movement is just confirming and validating the effectiveness of Mode 1. Mode 1 prevents you from compromising positions. It doesn't put you in compromising positions. That's why that date rape activist Katie Costner was going to hire me to go on a speaking tour. Because she realized when I interviewed her on my Blog Talk Radio show, Mode 1 protects guys from compromising situations. Because you take away all room for plausible deniability. Marinate on that shit. Marinate on that shit. I got a Patreon exclusive live stream coming up on Thursday. I'm going to move up the time. Originally it was going to be 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Now I'm thinking it's going to be either 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern. I'll keep you posted if you're a Patreon subscriber. It's either going to be 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern or 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern on Thursday afternoon. Until then, enjoy the rest of your Martin Luther King Day, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.
Yes, sir.
Say it again.
Yes, sir.
Who's the king?
Alan, you're the king.
Say it again.
Alan, you're the king. You're dominating me.
Say it again.
Alan, you're dominating me right now. Mode 1.
Mode 1.
Daddy, can I go, please? You're the king.
Say it again.
Oh, you're the fucking king. Yes. Yes. Yes.
You're the king, Alan.
AKA the king of verbal seduction. You know, it's the tone of your voice, how seductive your intonations are, the vibrations that you could just reach out over the phone lines and stroke a woman's breast just by the sound of your voice, how you could make her pussy so wet just by the sound of your voice. That's actually very hot.
So you said my show was what?
I said your show is powerful.
Oh, say it again.
Your show is powerful.
But the king would fuck me really good.
Oh, yeah. Who's the king?
Alan Roger Currie.
Oh, yeah. Who's the king?
Alan Roger Currie. The king.
The king.
The king.